Welcome, everybody, to the Dr. Carolyn Dean live radio show featuring Dr. Carolyn Dean. Join Dr. Dean for the next 2 hours, along with her host, cohort, and good buddy, Ginny Sanders, also known as Ginny Almighty. Join Dr. Dean as she shares with us her vast range of experience, knowledge, talent, and wisdom. Phone lines are now open, and we'll be taking your calls from around the world and here in the USA.
Okay, welcome everybody, live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting humankind with universal love. And what I always like to say when I bring in Dr. Carolyn Dean is uniting with your own wellness, vitality, well-being, wisdom, and just general goodness. We're so happy to have you here for the next 2 hours this evening to talk with us and among yourselves on our chat line and through YouTube and through our various mechanisms here about the thing that matters most, which is health and well-being. And you know what they say, if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. And gosh, that is so true. And tonight we're going to learn about ways that you can take care of your health, safe strategies that are proven, known to work, revolving around nutrition, movement, exercise, breathing, every single thing you can imagine that Dr. Dean has in her tool bag, and she's got so many. Why? Because she's been at it for 40 years. Why? Because she's an expert in her field, and she's been around the block a time or two, and she has incredible things to share with you to brighten your life and bring your health forward. Now, before we get started, let's just also say that we do take live phone calls through the show tonight. The number to call in, 646-558-8656. Should be on your screen. It should be in the email. It could be on the YouTube. It could be in the Facebook ad that you saw. And there's an ID number that you can also use to call into the show, 8836-953587. And when you come into the show, then you want to hit *9, *9, raises your hand, makes it a little blue, lets me know that you have a question or comment, and then we will put you on the air with Dr. Dean at the appropriate time. And until that time, your phone remains on mute. Now, another thing before I bring Dr. Dean in, we want you to know that she does not give medical advice on her show. This is a call-in talk wellness show, vitality, well-being, but we do not give medical advice. That's not what we do here. But she will tell you what she would do if she were in your position. And of course, she's been in your position many times because she has a body and she's been on the face of the earth a long time. And I won't put her on the spot by telling how long. And she's in amazing shape. As a matter of fact, she brags many times that she feels better now than she did when she was in her 30s. And I've seen her and I know her and I have to keep up with her every single day as she runs her company. And I can tell you what she's saying is absolutely the truth. So without further ado, let me bring on the absolutely delicious, absolutely delightful, wonderful Dr. Carolyn Dean.
And there they are, the children in the background with our proven strategies. Good word for today, Ginny, proven strategies. And you know how we get our proven strategies, how we prove our strategies? It's with the dynamic feedback from our customers. That's what I'd say. I mean, we listen to our customers. And you know what I was thinking, Ginny, how a few years ago, a gentleman customer said to us, well, you know, your bottles, I mix up the Remag and the Remite. They're both the same color. So what did we do? We set to work with our awesome designer, Sheila Kern, who's at SheilaKern.com with her incredible paintings. Sheila created the design of the bottle, and the color system. When you look at these bottles, it just makes you weep. They're so beautiful. So yeah, proven strategies with dynamic feedback from our customers. And let me start out with our regular announcements just to keep you on your toes. We have a subscription service. You can get your shipments delivered monthly without ever having to order again. Refer your practitioner. Ask yourself the question, what if your doctor knew about Remag years ago? You could have been way ahead of the pack. So help your fellow patients and friends and family by telling their practitioners. Use your referral candy. You must get your blood testing done. Just about everybody we're testing has low vitamin D. You want to know what the number is to then do the vitamin D calculator to find out how much vitamin D you should be taking. And what do we have today for people? We've launched our D3K2 reset, haven't we, Ginny, today?
Yes, we absolutely have. It was included in our immune bundle, but today you can buy it as a standalone, now and forever. Now and forever, you can buy it as a standalone product, and we're happy to be able to provide it for everybody. We're already getting amazing feedback on it, Carolyn. It's really, really great.
Yes, and Ginny and I mean, nothing can stop us. We are unstoppable. What happened last fall? We learned about the vitamin D project at grassrootshealth.net. We joined them. We got our test done. Mine was so low, I was stunned. And we just turned around and made a plant-based vitamin D with K2, because when you take high-dose vitamin D, you have to have magnesium, Remag, and K2. So we put it all together. We also happen to be out ahead of the pack with the whole viral so-called pandemic, having a vitamin D that people can take to protect their immune systems, taken along with their Remag magnesium. The consistent finding that the media is allowing to be reported is that many areas in the world, many places in North America where there's low vitamin D, these people get hit harder. So what do you want to do? You want to boost your vitamin D levels, but you want to know what your level is to start with. So on our website, rnareset.com, click on the research project, order your home blood test kit so you can get your whole blood RBC, magnesium, your TSH, your omega-3 fatty acids, and your vitamin D. And the price you pay for that will be returned to you in coupons for our products. So you're not even out a dime. And as I say every week, our magnesium deficiency survey keeps propelling us to do this work, because anywhere from 40 to 70% of people who take this survey, and there's 70,000 now, 40% are experiencing headaches, 70% are experiencing anxiety, and everything in between. So be sure to do that survey so we can add to the statistics of how we present magnesium to the world. On drcarolyndeanlive.com, there's 17 or 18 books that are complimentary downloads that describe all our products, go into all kinds of different disease conditions and categories that are related to nutrient deficiency. And it seems that people who have certain disease diagnoses may in fact have something like magnesium deficiency. Who knew? We knew. That's who knew. You can download our paper in nutrients. It's a published paper. We started the study at Purdue. We're continuing it at Indiana. What is it? what's the university? Indiana U? Is that what it's called?
IU, Indiana University is IU. Yep.
Right. So we're all over the place. Our researchers are continuing the study. The first paper is called Circulating Ionized Magnesium as a Measure of Supplement Bioavailability, and it uses our ReMag. We blew the socks off these researchers, and they've been at it a long time, and they couldn't believe the absorption rate of our ReMag. They couldn't believe the size of ReMag. We said it's picometer in size, and they said, well, we'll have to prove it. And they said it nicely, and that was fine. So they use what's called a molecular size analyzer. It's called a Zetasizer Nano. And they confirmed that the majority of the particle size of ReMag is in the picometer range. The test was repeated 3 times because they didn't believe it. So this was very important to us because as we're reaching out to the practitioner community, we want to be able to prove what we're doing, and we are. And the absorption of ReMag, 1 dose, 1 teaspoon in a human population, it was showing up in the bloodstream on an ionized magnesium test after 2 hours. And this again blew the socks off our researchers. I mean, we are their heroes and they are our heroes. So we're committed to working together with more and more research. So today, the blog that Ginny and Brian sent out is Potassium Important for Good Health. And Pico Potassium is back on the shelves. You'll be happy to know. I mean, when we started with Pico Potassium a few months ago, we just had 2,000 bottles. They went overnight. We didn't realize how many people were using potassium from other sources. I had never gotten into potassium supplements for various reasons, and I'll let you know as I go through this blog. So basically, our listeners are asking as many questions about potassium now as they do about magnesium. I'm going to discuss the importance of potassium for good health, whether supplementing is a good idea. The answer is yes. Why there's only 99 milligrams of potassium in a dietary supplement dosage, and how to add it to your diet. So it's the focus is, we're going to educate you, but most importantly, we want to talk about Pico Potassium. So in my ebooks, Invisible Minerals Part 2 about Remite and Recalcia, and also our Pico Potassium book, I do say these words so you can get more information in those books. Invisible Minerals Part 2 and Pico Potassium. Actually, I think the book is called Remite and Recalcia, and then Invisible Minerals Part 2 is the subheading. So potassium is the 3rd most abundant element in the human body. Calcium is first, phosphorus is second. Potassium is mostly found inside the cells to the tune of 98%, whereas 98% of sodium is found outside the cells. The intracellular to extracellular dance of potassium and sodium helps create and conduct electrical impulses in muscle cells and nerves. Calcium and magnesium do a similar dance. And the overreaching issue about these interactions is that magnesium is in charge of opening the cell mineral ion channels to allow the potassium to go in and pushing the sodium out. And it's a lot of work. 98% of the potassium is inside the cell, 98% of sodium is outside the cell. So there's a lot of work involved to create that dynamic. And it's driven by magnesium. Continuing the blog, potassium deficiency leads to muscle cramps and arrhythmias, but to a lesser extent than magnesium deficiency. Now, I have here the reason being that potassium deficiency is less common than magnesium deficiency, but I'll get to that a little more. It always intrigues me, you know, I always try to compare which is more important, and in this case, what's more important, magnesium or potassium? What came first? Continuing. Since 98% of potassium is found inside the cells, measuring potassium in the blood can be misleading. Potassium is an important electrolyte for pH balance and fluid retention. Like most other minerals, it activates various enzymes. The most surprising one is related to metabolizing sugar. Now, this is interesting. I'll mention it here. I have it in my list for after I finish this blog. And by the way, this blog is found at drcarolyndeanlive.com. It's the lead up to this show. You've gotten it in your email. You probably see it on your social media. So the enzymes that are driven by magnesium, you've heard me say this many times, there's 1,000 enzyme processes that require magnesium for their operation. Now, all I can find about potassium is there are two compared to 1,000. So I'll let that sink in, and I'll get back to it at the end of this blog. So for me, magnesium, it wins. The relationship between potassium and magnesium. A potassium deficiency may be found on a blood test, but not show a magnesium deficiency. If you have low magnesium and low potassium, your potassium won't improve when you take potassium supplements unless you also take magnesium. Because doctors don't use an accurate test for magnesium, they never find the underlying problem. Additionally, low potassium levels can increase urinary magnesium loss, and magnesium deficiency exacerbates a potassium deficiency. So they're hand in glove. They're working together, and when one is low, the other is low. But if your doctor says, well, you have a potassium deficiency, you have to take potassium, or you're on a diuretic, you need some extra potassium, and they always ignore magnesium, and you take your potassium, and it may not help. You may not feel, like you think you should. But if you took potassium and magnesium, things would balance out properly. The RDA for potassium is 4 to 5 grams. That's 4,700 milligrams is what they print for the recommended daily allowance for potassium. Because potassium levels in the body are so high, I think that's why they focus on potassium, is because it is did I say it was the highest, along with phosphorus, and magnesium is the third highest amount of mineral in the body. So the focus has always been on potassium. You can get it through your diet, especially if you eat a lot of vegetables, but you can't boil them and throw away the cooking water, which contains all the potassium. And I have like a mini list of potassium-rich foods. We got an email saying, why didn't you include such and such? Well, most foods are supposed to have some potassium. The problem is you cook it away, or you're eating a diet where you're just not eating your carbohydrate vegetables or fruits. Look here, the green leafy vegetables, that people might eat that on a keto or paleo diet, not a carnivore diet, but they're not going to be eating bananas. You may be eating nuts and avocados, but not citrus fruit or potatoes. So you're not eating as many potassium-containing foods as you used to. In my naturopathic training, when I was researching my Magnesium Miracle book, I learned that potassium has very important interactions with magnesium. However, I was still reluctant to recommend potassium supplements because the FDA ruled that a potassium supplement can only contain 99 milligrams of potassium. So here we have an RDA of 4,700 milligrams of potassium that we're not getting in our diet. And the FDA will only let us give you 99 milligrams per dose. So knowing that and not wanting to buck the FDA any more than I already was, I encourage people to make potassium broths and eat lots of vegetables, thinking that would be enough. I mean, how many times have I said that? And customer service says it. So I finally changed my mind about potassium supplements when I realized that some of my customers with atrial fibrillation, even though they were becoming saturated with Remag, still had symptoms, which I began to attribute to low potassium. And as I said, are already, on the keto diet, cutting back on vegetable carbs, people weren't getting their potassium. And then there became this, fad that was being recommended by non-doctors of taking cream of tartar powder for its high potassium content, but I was concerned that they wouldn't know how much potassium they were taking and could either overdose or underdose. You get your next batch of cream of tartar and it doesn't have as much potassium, and all of a sudden you're underdosing and can get in a problem. You really have to take supplements that are standardized in a measurable way so that you can follow a proper protocol. So there is potassium in Remite, but that was back in the day when we had to stay within the 99 milligrams. So a daily dose of 1.5 teaspoons of Remite has 98 milligrams of potassium. Now, it's the picometer stabilized ion of potassium, so it's acting more like 200 milligrams, but still, I realized that wasn't enough. I go on with the blog. Years of experience showed me that many of our customers needed more potassium. Okay, so when I decided to create Pico Potassium, I realized that all I needed to do was concentrate the stabilized ion of our potassium chloride that we have in Remite already, and on our FDA compliant label, the dose of Pico Potassium is 99 milligrams per quarter teaspoon. Most products, powders and liquids, they're 99 milligrams per teaspoon. So right away you see that if you just take a teaspoon of Pico Potassium, you're getting 400 milligrams. So I recommend that if someone is not getting 4,700 milligrams of potassium in their diet, if their blood level of potassium isn't in the high normal range, and I'm reading researchers now who say that's 4.8, it's milliequivalents per liter. The range, I'll have to look up the range again, I don't have it here. But some people are saying, well, 4.2 is okay, but I'm going for 4.8. So also, if people have heart rhythm symptoms, even when they're saturated with 2 to 4 teaspoons of Remag, or if they're on a diuretic, they can take Pico Potassium. To determine the dietary intake, I took a recommendation from a customer using the Chronometer app at chronometer.com. It's spelled Chronometer. So that's the tool you use to type in what foods you're eating, and it'll kick out how much potassium that you're likely ingesting. And then I say, since Pico Potassium is probably absorbed twice as much as food or other supplements, and knowing this because our Remag absorption study shows that magnesium in its picometer size is so fully absorbed. We haven't done the Pico Potassium absorption study yet, but we'll get to that. So I'm calculating that if you're deficient in your diet by, say, 1,200 milligrams, you're getting 2,500 milligrams in the food you're eating. You need 1,200 milligrams more. then you would take, or I would take, I can't tell you what to do, I would take 1.5 teaspoons of pico potassium, which would give me, 1 teaspoon is almost 400 milligrams, so that would give me 600 milligrams of pico potassium, which could be equivalent to 1,200 milligrams. So just continuing on the comparison, potassium to magnesium, I mentioned the 1,000 enzyme systems in magnesium, the 2 enzyme systems for potassium. They're working on the various pumps, the potassium enzymes. But here's something about a hydrogen potassium pump, and Ginny's going to be interested in this. There's a gastric hydrogen potassium ATPase. Now, just a sidebar here, anytime you look at ATP, you can add Mg to it, because to make ATP in the Krebs glycolysis cycle, 6 of the 8 steps require magnesium. So to get to ATP, you have magnesium attached. So this hydrogen potassium ATPase is the proton pump of the stomach. It exchanges potassium from the intestines with a hydrogen molecule. They call it a hydronium, but it's hydrogen. It's the enzyme primarily responsible for the acidification of the stomach contents and the activation of the digestive enzyme pepsin, which is your gastric acid. So we've heard of proton pump inhibitors. These are the drugs that suppress stomach acid, and it's the hydrogen potassium pump that they are inhibiting. It's these drugs that have an FDA black box warning about causing magnesium deficiency. Now that is that's huge, what I just said there. What that means is people taking pico potassium are going to be improving their stomach acidification. This whole business about suppressing stomach acid is actually false. It's erroneous. The quote heartburn and all that you get from your stomach is usually not acid. It's a backwash of alkaline contents from the small intestine, because the stomach just doesn't have an acid to digest the food, so the food's all getting hung up in the stomach, and there's this reflux from the small intestine into the stomach. And they know this because when you swallow little pH meters, tiny little pH meters, and they measure the pH of your stomach, it's not acid at all, it's alkaline. So don't be surprised in customer service, Jenny, as people tell you that their digestion has improved with pico potassium. The other incredibly important aspect of potassium and magnesium, it rides on magnesium. So let me say this. These words are in a German Medical Association Journal of 2018 from a post that was in 1997 GMA Journal. Electrolyte imbalances still do not receive anywhere near enough attention. Magnesium, the second most common intracellular cation after potassium, is not usually included in the electrolyte status. Potassium deficiency, however, almost always goes hand in hand with magnesium deficiency and can be balanced only by administering magnesium simultaneously. Let me repeat. Potassium deficiency almost always goes hand in hand with magnesium deficiency and can be balanced only by administering magnesium simultaneously. I'm hearing a lot of background noise, guys. it's kind of distracting. So magnesium and potassium together, totally important. That's where we're at today, where the magnesium we've been using has been awesome in helping people balance their magnesium deficiencies, and it's being supported by potassium. Our people weren't getting enough from their potassium broth or their vegetables, so that's where Pico Potassium comes in. And the reports we're getting are just, pretty awesome. The first one, I'm on my third day of Pico Potassium, and I don't know how to express it other than to say I've reached another positive level of wellness, another level of calmness in spite of the turmoil around us. Please convey my gratitude, etc., etc. And I think that's from Joan. Another one, your magnesium has absolutely saved me. While I was pregnant with my fourth, I began having palpitations constantly. Maybe this is, I've had to, my mom recommended Remax, started to increase my dose. I also started supplementing potassium. Within a day, I was having only 1 or 2 palpitations. I went from miserable to living again. So that's pretty amazing. Another one, I'm sitting here working and sipping Dr. Dean's potassium and my salt with added Remag. I am feeling wonderful. That's from Mandy. Someone else, I just started the Pico Potassium, and so far I'm liking it very much. I take a 1/4 teaspoon twice daily. I think it's helping with heart palpitations and other heart issues. It definitely clears the intestines in a very good way. It does not give me the runs, and that's from Rinda. And someone else is saying, I'm a very faithful customer of Dr. Dean's products, using all the formulas for 8 years. I have AFib, and I have kept under control with all her supplements, especially Remag. When COVID started, I began experiencing my heart feeling like it was flipping over. Ginny suggested I take potassium. I bought one, but it did not seem to work. Then I started Dr. Dean's new potassium, and there was immediate improvement. 1 to 2 teaspoons, sometimes 3, has really helped. I also did some emotional work with our Dr. David Holt around the harsh and fear of death and losing loved ones. Thank you, Dr. Dean, for all your support and especially your kindness. So there's another case of someone who taking a different potassium wasn't getting the results. Another one, with Pico Potassium, my constipation problems are totally changing. I heard my heartbeat in my left ear for 2 years. After a month of using it, the beat in my ear is gone. I have inflammation problems. However, now my feet don't swell as much. And that's a nice, short, sweet testimonial. Another one. Okay, that's Joan again. And someone who's been dealing with palpitations and supraventricular tachycardia, using Remag and Epsom salt baths. Oh, this is the individual where I learned about the chronometer. She had the heart arrhythmia, was using Remag, Epsom salt, wondered about potassium, did the chronometer, saw that she was only getting 2,600 milligrams a day, began to do a potassium chloride powder, and saw how helpful it was. So we just reminded her that now we have a Pico Potassium, so she won't have to take as much. Because some people say they have to take such high doses of other potassiums to get any results. So I have more words about potassium, the studies showing that it's becoming more and more deficient in the population. The causes are so much like magnesium deficiency. I mean, they do go hand in hand. when you're low in magnesium, you're not absorbing your potassium. And that kind of says it all. The symptoms of potassium deficiency: weakness, fatigue, muscle cramps, twitching, constipation, arrhythmia. And then we come to a few of today's questions from our readers. And this is one, this is a person who said, why didn't you list coconut water? And I mean, I just say that when you look at online lists of potassium foods, there's up probably 100. So we didn't mention a lot of them. But she gives important information here that her coconut water has 550 milligrams of potassium in the 8 ounces, and she likes to mix Restructure with it. So I think that's awesome. That's a wonderful way to get another dose of potassium. Next question. What if you're deficient in both magnesium and potassium? How does a person decide how to dose to get back to ideal levels? I would say you start taking both. Most of our people are already on Remag, so they can start on their quarter teaspoon of potassium. But if you have not started either Remag or Pico Potassium, then you can start on a quarter teaspoon of each. There's no interference. Now, this is an interesting question. I'm using Pico Potassium, this gentleman says, with great results. I have a prescription for potassium from my physician, and I can say that Pico Potassium is far superior to the prescription I've been using. I'm holding on to my potassium much better now and require less to maintain a healthy potassium balance. Now, he says, I've read that potassium directly competes with vitamin B12, and he's hesitant to take too much Realign, which has B12. And, you know, he says more words and, you know, real concern, etc. So I read this article, and first of all, I don't trust the article because the author says that he got muscle spasms after he used 25 milligrams per day or more of vitamin B12 for 5 years. Now, B12 comes in micrograms, so I can't imagine he took milligrams, but if he misses such an important typo, I don't know. You can't trust these words. But the main issue here is that he brought up the question of some antagonism. Let me see what the words David used. He said that potassium directly competes with vitamin B12. Now, fortunately, that is not the case. Here's the story behind B12 and potassium. When vitamin B12 is used to relieve a B12 deficiency in the midst of a person having low potassium, the surge in red blood cell metabolism can use up potassium. And that potassium is supposed to be supporting the heart, so it takes it away from the heart. So it's not an antagonism, but it's the fact that potassium is being used up for the red blood cell metabolic processes that B12 is stimulating. This is much like magnesium being used up in vitamin D metabolism. So it's only an effect if both are very deficient, and David, you're well past that stage, so there shouldn't be any problem. I think he said something about his potassium is good at 4.2 millimoles per liter. I know the milli equivalent per liter, but I would go for high normal potassium. I do not know if what I said about 4.8 milliequivalents per liter is going to be equivalent to this millimoles per liter, but I'd go for high normal potassium. Someone is asking, do you have any insight on why a person would have to consume a lot of potassium every day? she's dosing with potassium, takes it with her when she leaves the house. She has adrenal issues, very frustrated. Well, this could very easily be that Donna is not saturated enough with magnesium to be able to hold on to her potassium. So that's where I would go with that. Someone is saying, I have leg cramps at night. Very severe. What do you advise? This is Doris. Well, we used to just say, take your Remag, take 2-3 teaspoons of Remag through the day in your sea salted water. But to that, I think we could easily add your Pico Potassium as well, working up to a teaspoon a day. And someone is asking about SIBO, small intestinal bowel. What is small intestinal bowel? Something or other. I have to look up SIBO because I have forgot the acronym, what it stands for. Small intestinal, bacterial overgrowth, of course. And they forget yeast overgrowth. So, you really have to look at yeast as well. So let's see this question. What do you recommend for a person with SIBO who cannot consume sufficient potassium-rich vegetables? So I think I've answered that. We're adding the potassium. This person, what's her name? Diana says she has realized with the chronometer, I think she said, that she needed 2,900 extra milligrams of potassium chloride powder. She takes 2 1/4 teaspoons of Remag, 1.25 teaspoons of Recalcia. By tracking all my food, I see I usually cannot get enough potassium. I get leg cramps, headaches, and weakness. She feels best with 5,000 to 600 milligrams of potassium in her diet and her replacement, but she said that potassium can be rough on an empty stomach. So the Pico Potassium then is available to her. 3 teaspoons of Pico Potassium, that's 1,200 milligrams of potassium, and it being twice as effective or twice as active means she'll get her 2,400 milligrams extra, and that may solve the problem. Last question. My 31-year-old daughter and I are taking a teaspoon of Pico Potassium. We know we need a lot of it from our hair tissue mineral analysis, also taking a teaspoon each of Remag and Recalcia. How much potassium can we safely take? It seems to calm our hearts down very well. My daughter has a lot of heart pounding. Okay, she says your potassium with Recalcia in equal amounts is the main thing that seems to balance her nervous system. Well, I mean, you could look at, and this person's name is Carolyn. Hi, Carolyn. You could look at taking more of all of them. A teaspoon of each is just bordering on the minimal amounts of Remag. Remag should be 1.5 teaspoons. The Remag could be 2 teaspoons. Recalcia, if you're not getting calcium in your diet, you can take your full 600 milligrams of calcium in 2 teaspoons of Recalcia, and I would work up to 2 teaspoons of Pico Potassium as well. So I have a testimonial on Darlene on Sjogren's syndrome. I didn't realize it, but it's related to or associated with potassium deficiency, and she says since taking Pico Potassium, my energy is starting to come up. I feel more like me than in a long time. The low potassium was causing her to have to go to the bathroom 3 and 4 times every couple of hours. So that was very important for me to learn about Sjogren's, the autoimmune disease, is associated with low potassium, as I imagine many autoimmune diseases are. So that ends my my monologue, Ginny, if you would like to come in and see what I've missed.
Well, that was fantastic. I'm so excited about pico. I'm excited about the diet thing, the stomach thing, because so many of our customers are on PPIs, and so many of our customers have ongoing digestive issues. And another thing, Carolyn, that I wanted to tell you is that Pico Zinc is fantastic for your stomach.
Oh,
And
interesting.
I am learning that from my own firsthand experience. It just is really, really good to aid in digestion, and it just makes your stomach feel good, or at least it makes mine feel good. So I'm very excited about that. I'm thrilled about the potassium and all these wonderful testimonials that we heard of people just getting over that last little bit of that, part of the AFib that they haven't been able to kick. And how fantastic is that? That's just awesome.
Right. Yes. Yes, of course I say, why didn't I do this earlier? But I didn't, and now we've done it, and everything's going to sort itself out, right?
Yes. Yeah, well, absolutely. And it's fine. I know in the past, you have hesitated to recommend coconut water because of its sugar content. I know you've said that before. So people on the keto diet, I think you have to kind of be careful with that level of using that coconut water, because it does have sugar in it.
Yes. Good. Good catch there. Thanks, Ginny. Yeah, read your labels and see if it works for you, because they may not have added sugar, but the fructose sugar in coconut water is going to count. And looking at one coconut water, it says 11 grams of sugar in 11 ounces. So that's like 2.5 teaspoons of sugar. So that is sugar.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That sugar. Well, that's the bummer with a lot of potassium. I mean, whether it's in your potatoes, your sweet potatoes, right? Potassium in large quantities always comes with sugar.
Right. All the fruit bananas are recommended right off the bat for your potassium, and they're the highest fructose content. Okay. Yeah. So back to pico potassium. Another reason to have it.
Darn straight. Sugar-free potassium, man. Get any better than that. That can be our new marketing campaign, Carolyn. Sugar-free potassium.
Oh, Chad would be able to make hay with that for sure.
That's right. Because that's a lot of reason people drink the Gatorade. Even though coconut water has a higher potassium count, it has an equivalent sugar count, I think, or something similar. So really, sugar-free potassium is so important. And when people have heart issues and when they've got dietary concerns, they're not trying to pound sugar for sure.
Very good. Awesome.
Yeah. Okay, here's a question from our lovely Belinda. Now we digress here for a minute. And that is that Belinda wanted to know if we would compare the benefits of the plant-based vitamin D3K2 that we've got versus the Blue Ice Royal. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the problem with Blue Ice Royal is we were never able to get a D3 level. Each of their batches, I guess, would be different, so they would never tell us how much we were getting. And Blue Ice Royal, it does have vitamin A, but we're going to add vitamin A to our next batch of restructure so people can get it there. But vitamin A is a little easier to come by. I don't think we'd come out with a vitamin A product. The K2 and Blue Ice Royal, we never knew how much of that you were getting either. So it came out of science where we studied our people who were taking Blue Ice Royal and whether or not they were getting enough vitamin D or even essential fatty acids, and they weren't. So we shift it. We're not going to stay with something that's not being totally helpful to our bodies and our health.
Right on. Very good. I still like Blue Ice Royal for the EFAs. I mean, I don't know, it's good for now until we have something else. But yeah, I'm excited about D3K2. Plus, the other thing is people are so deficient in vitamin D. It is shocking. And anybody who's doing anything with any kind of a therapy, vitamin D therapy for anything, say, involving an infection of any kind that people might be aware of, they're saying 10,000 IUs of vitamin D a day minimum, right? So,
I know. I took 10,000 to get my level up from 19 to 53. And I'll keep it 10,000 until I do my next test and see where I am. But Grassroots Health said that 40 to 60 was a safe clinical place to be. People with a family history of breast cancer, who've had breast cancer, to prevent recurrence. Over 60. Was it 60 to 80? I keep just saying over 60, but do you know the range for breast cancer?
Oh, it is 60 to 80 for sure for breast cancer.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So 10,000 is probably what you need to do that. What with everything else going on, with everything that vitamin D is being called to do to protect us.
And also, Carolyn, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And also, and you were going to say, and also Remag, because you have to have the Remag to process that amount of vitamin D. That's why I stayed away from it, because it used up so much magnesium. Go ahead, Jenny.
Well, I was actually going to say, and Belinda, if you remember from when researcher Garland, Cedric Garland was on the show, Carol Baggerly, a couple weeks ago, he said that vitamin D is imperative to protect people against EMFs and 5G. And they've got studies on it. So look, go back and listen to the end of that, Belinda, and I'll post the date that it was. I'll look for it real quick for you. But go back and listen to that part where Cedric Garland, the researcher, vitamin D researcher, was talking about this thing about 5G and environmental pollutants. That was April 6th, 2020, Belinda. So go back and listen to that. It was really good how he talked about that. 10,000 IUs of vitamin D a day, and also daily, not in a big whack, where you're taking it 50,000 IUs once a week. You've got to take it daily.
Yes. Good.
Yeah. Okay, and then here's something just so super fun, Carolyn, and we're going to have to break here in a minute because we're coming up to the top of the hour, and we do have little blue hands all over the board. I can see you. Thank you for raising your hands. *9 on the keypad will raise your hand and let me know you've got a question or comment. So we're going to have great callers next hour. I just have to get this question in really quick from this precious person, Callie. Callie. I believe she's a new listener to the show, and this is what she's saying. I was told by a practitioner that I should bathe in 5 cups of borax to get rid of candida. A friend did this, and she thought it was amazing. I was told to do that for 30 days. I have cellulite on my stomach, legs, and thighs, and I'm at the end of my rope. Do you think this will help me?
I really don't know enough about that. I've never. That's one thing I've never tried, Callie. Borax, that's sort of a boron derivative. Boron, we know it's good for yeast. We have it in our Remite. I don't know what to tell you. I have no experience with it. So okay. I have to leave it there.
Yep. Very good. Very good. Okay. Well, gosh, if you could do that, though, that would be super fun. But yeah, like you said, that would be good. Okay, now it's better than a elimination diet of sugar, wheat, and dairy, right, Carolyn?
That's true. But I mean, a detoxifying bath is helpful for a lot of things. but there's so many reasons that it could or couldn't work that it ends up just being, is it a placebo or is it really scientific?
Very good.
When you put that much energy into doing something, committing to that much, you'll probably also be, I'll tighten up my diet. Oh, I'll do this, I'll do that. And then boom, you do improve.
Right. Very good. Excellent. Excellent. All right. Top of the hour, time to take a break. Get a sip of your Rna Potassium water. We'll be right back with Hour 2, live with Dr. Carolyn Dean and your phone calls. Exciting times, ladies and gentlemen.
We'll be back with Hour 2 of the Dr. Carolyn Dean live radio show, along with host Ginny Sanders, right after this brief station break. You can also get updates and resources online by visiting drcarolyndean.com. That's drcarolyndean.com.
Did you know there are 65 health conditions associated with magnesium deficiency? Magnesium deficiency is a public health crisis growing in scope and proportion. Dr. Carolyn Dean, author of The Magnesium Miracle, has identified over 65 health conditions associated with magnesium deficiency, 100 factors that lead to magnesium deficiency, and 24 reasons why magnesium deficiency occurs. Order The Magnesium Miracle today at Amazon.com and learn how to remedy this pervasive condition.
Do you have questions about your health? Are you wondering about alternatives? Do you ever wish you could have 5 minutes with a doctor you can trust? Someone who is an internationally recognized authority in the field of natural medicine? Meet award-winning doctor, naturopath, and best-selling author of The Magnesium Miracle, Carolyn Dean, MD, ND. Hear a wealth of information designed to empower listeners and callers to discover how to improve health, vitality, and well-being through a variety of safe strategies and nutritional options. Dr. Carolyn Dean Live. Shows can be heard every Monday, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern, with weekly live shows, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time on syndicated Dream Vision 7 radio network.
Natural health, vitality, and well-being. Yes, everyone wants it, but not everyone is sure how to achieve it. Dr. Carolyn Dean's Completement Formulas are more than just dietary supplements. They're whole foods and picometer minerals designed to complete your nutrition, not just supplement it. Experience the difference Dr. Dean's formulas make. Visit RnaReset.com to learn more. That's RnaReset.com.
Omega Institute, offering workshops, retreats, and online learning dedicated to awakening the best in the human spirit. With more than 40 years at the forefront of holistic studies, Omega is known the world over as a trusted source for integrated approaches to personal growth and social change. Located in Rhinebeck, New York, just 90 miles north of New York City, Omega's natural environment and quiet pace allow for extraordinary experiences to unfold. Learn more at eomega.org or call 877-944-2002. Again, 877-944-2002.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
We return now to the Dr. Carolyn Dean live radio show, along with her host, cohort, and good buddy, Ginny Sanders. Phone lines are open during live broadcast.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Hour 2, live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on achieveradio.com. And we're so happy, DreamVision7network.com. Also, for those who are listening to archives, let me remind you, it's drcarolyndeanlive.com, the radio show website. And also, let me remind you that it's questions, questions, at drcarolyndean. And Carolyn, do I have you back?
I hope so.
Yep, you're here. Okay, wonderful. Rocking on with hour 2, and let's take some phone calls, shall we? Are you ready?
Yeah, all set. Very good.
Okay, excellent. Let's go to area code 917. Area code 917. Okay, we've got to get that phone call unmuted. Rachel, area code 917. Yep, yes. Very good. Go ahead. You're on the line with Dr. Carolyn Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
Yes, this is David from New York. Hi, Jeannie. Hi, Dr. Dean.
Oh, David.
Yeah. Welcome back.
The one and only. Good. How are you guys?
Very good. Very good. You found us over here on the new radio station. Good for you.
It was a little problem at the beginning, but everything is fine now. Dr. Dean, should I talk to you about my results from the grassroots? I have vitamin D, omega-3 index, magnesium, and TSH results. Should I ask you some question about it, or we want to talk about you? No.
Yeah, not on the show because it wouldn't relate to other listeners. But you can certainly email in your questions, and they'll pass them over to me, and I'll answer them. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Did your wife do it as well, David?
No, she's not in the country right now.
She's over. Okay. Okay. So yes, please do that. I'll get right back to you. But we wish more people were doing the test, but I don't think many people listening and on the call would get anything out of our exchange. So I'll deal with it directly.
A little question.
Okay.
Dr. Dean, a little question, not about the results.
Sure.
May I?
Sure.
Will you recommend to do enema with the drinking water? Our drinking water with the salt and Remag and everything?
I don't think so.
No?
I don't think that's necessary, but just some sort of filtered water is best for enemas. But I don't know if you heard me say when I started the Flora Revive, I no longer had the desire to do coffee enemas. So I've been doing them okay. Yeah, so something shifted. But you know how it is. You go in and out of certain things. But I always used filtered water for my coffee enemas.
Yeah, me too. Of course.
Okay.
Okay, doctor. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.
It's always good to hear from our regular callers. It's just so much fun to have them with us. Thanks, David, for calling in. Let's go now to area code 719. You're on the line with Dr. Dean, 719. We've got to get him unmuted. And we'll put him on the line with Dr. Dean. I don't know why we're having problems with our mute button and our unmute button tonight. La 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 la. But we're trying to get 719 unmuted and it's not working. La 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 la. Okay. 719 is not coming off of mute. Let me try.
Can you hear me now?
There you are. Very good. Thank you. Go ahead, please, lovelies. Come in and say hello.
Hello. This is Pamela.
Oh, hi, Pamela.
Hi, Pamela. Go ahead.
I want to tell you first off that the psyllium seeds that you recommended really helped a lot, and I haven't even been doing very much of a dose of it, but starting from the first day, I didn't have any diarrhea until today. It loosened up again, and I'm wondering about that.
Now, Pamela, I missed what you were taking that you felt was helping.
Psyllium seeds.
The psyllium. Very good. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. But it's weird because today it really loosened up again, and then I had a really bad leg cramp all of a sudden, too.
Yeah.
Like,
well, when you have diarrhea, you will lose your minerals. And so that goes hand in hand. It kind of shows that you're not saturated enough yet. But, with diarrhea coming, it could be having eaten fruit the day before or just some stress. Don't think it's all come back just because you had an episode. Just keep up with your psyllium and go, tell yourself you're going back to where you were, okay?
I did have a whole lot of watermelon 2 days ago.
Okie dokie.
That could have done it, huh?
Yes, it could have done it. And that's okay. You're allowed to have watermelon, but it is, it's a lot of fruit sugar. I know that fruit sugar can be laxative. Everybody kind of knows that. And it's very, it's mostly water. It's mostly just fruit sugar water. So that will flush you out. So there you go.
Well,
Case
I think
closed.
I overdid it anyway. I also was, first of all, I want to say, you said a few minutes ago about the 10,000 vitamin Ds a day for EMF and 5G protection. I've been so concerned about that, and I had no idea that a supplement would help that. So I'm excited about trying that.
Right. And also magnesium is protective because the way the EMFs work is by opening up calcium channels and allowing too much calcium into the cells, and then that overwhelms the magnesium in the cells. So ReMag is very helpful as well. And I write about that in my Magnesium Miracle book. You can, if you don't have my book, you can call customer service and they can send you the text of that EMF information.
Well, I do have that book, so I didn't even think about looking it up.
Okay.
I have one other question. I have heard you at times speak of candy, and I have no clue what that is.
Well, candy, I guess, that comes from when I was a kid and they just have rock candy or, whatever. I think of candy as chocolate bars even. So that's all I'm saying.
But I thought you were saying you were giving out candy for something or something like that. I thought it was just a name for something.
No, I don't. I mean, unless we were saying candida.
No, it was candy. I've heard it more than once. Okay, you were actually talking about candy then.
Maybe,
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your help.
Oh, okay, Pamela. You hang in there. You'll be fine.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Excellent, Carolyn. Very good. I wanted to say that on the thing with magnesium, you say that's in the Magnesium Miracle book about the EMF.
Yes.
Okay. Excellent. Very good. Excellent. Very good.
I can go to, I have a file copy of it. I guess the pages would be different, but people who have the Kindle Magnesium Miracle, of course, they can just search. It's the title of the section is Magnesium and Electromagnetic Fields. And it's under the neurological chapter, with strokes and seizures and all, brain injury. And I'm just chapter 5. So it's in chapter 5.
Okay, very good. All right, excellent. All right, well, let's take another caller. I'm going to ask our producer, Rachel, to help me take area code 248 off of mute now. Area code 248, you're on the line with Dr. Dean, and then we'll take your questions and comments. Area code 248, where the little blue hands are.
The EMF section is at the very end of chapter 5. So that makes it real easy to find, the exact end of chapter 5.
Okay, very good. Very good.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you, love. Go ahead if you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
Okay, my name is Denise.
Oh, hey,
and
Denise.
hi there. You know what? I wasn't even going to ask a question today. All I wanted to do was sit and listen. But when she talked about the pico potassium, I just went crazy. So I am definitely going to put that order in for tomorrow because of the atrial fibrillation. I've just been dealing with this for 2.5 years, and it's depressing, when you're still sitting there trying to walk and stuff. And I had to start all over with the magnesium because I don't know, I just wasted a lot of time. And this is my 3rd day back again with the magnesium. I have all of her stuff. I just don't have the pico silver and the pico potassium that you talked about today. So I'm going to put that order in because I believe that that's going to work with the atrial fib and the magnesium. My thing is, I think I asked this question before, but I couldn't remember your answer. If you've also been diagnosed with stage 2 kidney disease, is that going to have an effect from the pico potassium?
No, it's not, Denise. And let me just dial back a minute. What's interesting, what I hear in your voice is like, when you heard about the pico potassium, you said, okay, that's the missing piece, right? That's what it sounds like. Yeah. Right,
because I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do it. When I had to go to emergency, when I first was diagnosed with this, they put it intravenously in me. I was very, very low on magnesium and very, very low on potassium. So one arm I had the intervene, when they put that on my left arm, and then the potassium in my right. The magnesium on my left. And I was there for like 4 hours. I came out and I felt so great. And so I know that's been a problem with me for a while, but, I don't know what's happened to me now, but I've about had it with these blood thinners and this beta blocker, and I just said enough is enough. I want to be able to walk like I did before all of this stuff came on me. Right. I want to exercise, but I was so excited. I was just thanking God. I said, thank you, God. This is what I need. So that was my question. I wasn't even going to ask a question, but that's what I want to do. Now that you told me that, I could just go ahead and order that. Would I put that also in the same water, salt water, and magnesium? Okay.
Yep, you sure do.
And start off I'm sorry.
Yeah, start off with a 1/4 teaspoon, just like the others, and you'll probably, maybe get up to 2 teaspoons a day. That's what I'm doing right now, trying it out, and. The Remag 2 or 3 teaspoons, Remite 1.5 teaspoons. And as for the stage 2 kidney disease, that relates so much to calcification and medications and all what you're going through. And it makes you think like you have a problem where it's likely as you bounce out your magnesium and your potassium that the kidneys are just going to perk right up.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm that's ready. How you have to look at it. Yeah.
I'm ready. I'm going to order right now. Tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh, good. Well, Denise, here's something that may come across as a joke, but it's a bad joke. in medicine, they call stage 1 kidney disease no kidney disease.
Oh, okay.
So they're already prepping people to get worse and worse and worse when they say, oh, you're just in stage 1. You get a ways to go before you get a real problem. Isn't that ridiculous?
Yes, it is. It scared me like I don't know what. I said, oh, no, I got to do something about this.
Yeah. Well, you're in the right place. We got your forehead.
Okay, and I thank you. You all have a very blessed evening.
Oh, you too, Denise. Thank you, sweetheart. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Carolyn, I just wanted to let you know that Nancy M. typed in and said you talk about candy all the time, referral candy.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Thank you, Nancy. We had no idea. So that's what it was, Pamela, is referral candy, which is the email you get after your order saying you have 15% discount on your next order if you refer a friend. And it does not have to be a friend who's named Candy.
Very good. Oh, that's awesome. Good one, Nancy. I said, all right, girls, people are listening. That's awesome.
People are listening. Thank you.
Right. That's awesome. So speaking of listening, they also love to listen to other people call in and talk with Dr. Dean. It's always so inspiring to hear the questions that people have. 646-558-8656 is the number to call. If you're listening through your YouTube, your laptop, your tablet, your cell phone, through Alexa, you can even say, Alexa, tune in to Dream Vision 7 radio network, and Alexa will dial up the network and you can hear Dr. Dean's voice coming through Alexa. So there's all kinds of options here this evening. When you come into the call, you've got to hit your ID number, which we're working diligently every day to get reduced to a reasonable number of digits. But we're still at 883-695-3587, which is fine. And then once you come on in, you've got to hit *9 on your keypad. We'll raise your hand and let us know you have a question or a comment. And then we will take your phone off mute. And then you can talk with Dr. Dean. And if you're saying you're raising your hand and you're not getting through, like right now, there are no hands raised on the board, then you'll just want to hit that *9 again so that we can have you talk with Dr. Dean. Because sometimes people say, well, I was raising my hand, but you didn't call on me. But we will call on everybody, okay? Also, you've got the chat line on YouTube working, so you can chat with us there. And you can also chat with us at Dream Vision 7 Radio Network live through the page. Just chat on that as well, as Belinda and Callie and Nancy M are doing this evening. So, all right, Carolyn, what shall we press on and talk about now?
Well, I do have an AFib testimonial. It's a bit long, but it's kind of a teaching testimonial, so I could do that. Or I could go back to and talk more about potassium. So toss the coin, flip the coin, tell me where to go.
Okay, well, let's take this phone call from area code 615. Rachel, if you could take that off mute for me, area code 615, our producer. And then we will go to that AFib teaching testimonial, because everybody loves to hear that wonderful information from you, Carolyn. So we're going to go to area code 615. 615. You should come off mute here. Da, da, da. And then, let's see, as soon as 615 becomes available, we'll be saying hello, hello. Area code 615.
You could sing. Jenny has a beautiful singing voice. Why don't you sing us a song?
Oh, fortunately, 615 just got off mute. Area code 615, you're with us now. Go ahead, please. Hello?
Uh-oh. You could change your voice and pretend to be a caller.
I could. That would be fun.
Could.
It would be a faux call. Instead of a phone call, it would be a faux call. Area code 615, if you're there, we'd like to talk to you. And if you're not there, we're going to press on.
Okay, well, I'm trying to get through.
There you are. Very good. Come on with us. Go ahead.
Okay, my name is Mildred, and a while back my daughter-in-law got me to start on the magnesium and the Rna, and both, and I've been feeling really good and feeling better. But I have two questions. I'm so totally blown away by talking to a doctor.
It's okay. Just pretend we're sitting down and having tea. Nothing to worry about.
I'm having a couple of problems. I'm very healthy. I take one tiny blood pressure pill a day, and it's candesartan, 8 milligrams. And been very healthy except for my lungs. I had lung disease when I was a child. I had bronchiectasis all my life just about. But I've been taking Pico with that and helping with that too. But just recently, right about the time that I started on the magnesium, I started getting headaches again, migraines again at 84, and I haven't had migraines since I was 62. And I didn't know why I'm having those headaches. And I just wondered if you could give me an idea about what I might be doing wrong.
Okay, Mildred, how much Remag are you on?
I've moved it up to 2 of the magnesium, magnesium and the Rna. I've got 1.5, and that is in. But I hardly ever finish the whole thing. I drink water too, but I hardly ever finish the whole thing. So I'm probably not getting as much as I need.
Yeah, because last week, I don't know if you were listening, but one of our regular customers and callers, Priscilla, called up and she talked about, when you start getting healthy, you can start kind of reliving past health problems. They can sort of come up again as they're being treated. So that's what struck me right away when you said your migraines were coming back. Because the migraines, they're related to the blood flow around the scalp and to various things. Now, let's say the Remag magnesium is starting to kind of dissolve some of the crystals of calcium in the blood vessels around your neck and scalp and head. And it just kind of stirs things up a little bit.
Okay.
And what it means is you either need a little more, but like you said, you're not even getting the 2 teaspoons. 2 teaspoons is it's a righteous amount. It's a good amount, but you might just be getting 1.5 teaspoons. So you have to be committed to your water intake. If you find it gets you up at night, then try to drink more of your water in the first 3/4 of the day. As soon as I wake up, I'm drinking down like 16 ounces of my sea salted water. And the sea salt is important too. It has its minerals that are important, but the hydration is very important for migraines. And the thing that might add to helping, it's Realign. That's our capsule that has the B vitamins, and it also has a couple of amino acids that help detoxify. So that'll help clear out the toxins that maybe the Remag and the Remite are stirring up.
Okay, well, so another question with that is my eye doctor has said I have a cataract, and could it possibly, and he said it wasn't ready last year, and I go back in September. So could that be causing the migraines? See, it starts ocular. It's like I have the broken glass. And then
the nausea and not feeling good.
Right.
And could that possibly be part of the problem? I'll know in September because I go back to him in September, but I've been trying to diagnose myself.
Right. I've never heard of cataracts causing headaches or migraines. I mean, you might put the two together, especially if you've got ocular migraine.
Well, I want to lay all of it out there. So let me tell you another thing that's going on, and it's just been going on just in the last recent few months. My blood pressure pill, the 8, and my son told me yesterday, he said, I think you need to call the doctor and get your blood pressure up to a little bit, because what happens, I take it about 2 o'clock in the day, and last night, I took it at 2, and last night at 6 o'clock, it was 178 over 80, and that was after I'd taken my blood pressure pill. Then I took it again at 6, because I thought I do not want to go to bed with that high blood pressure. And I got up 9 this morning. It was 175 over 75 after taking 2 of those pills. So could that be some of the headache? Maybe my blood pressure's out.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And the thing is, the top one is more the tension in the blood vessels. The bottom one is a reflection of your heart. So it's not the heart, it's the blood vessels. And, you know, the top is not, it's not good at all. It'll put pressure on your head, and it can give you a headache. And if your past tendency was to have headaches, then it would just trigger that. So yeah, you need either a different medication or, keep taking more of your Remag, because that's what Remag works best on the top blood pressure number. But I'm not going to tell you to wait on that. You go into your doctor and tell him or her what's happening, because when you've been taking a drug for as long as you said, and it's only a small amount, they might have to adjust it. But also, as you get more of your Remag, get more saturated, your blood pressure is going to improve with that as well. So, not to worry. Okay.
Well, another thing I did this morning when it was up to 175 over 75, I thought, now I'm not going to take another pill now. I'm going to go walk, and I went and walked about 30 minutes, pretty briskly, and I came back, took my blood pressure, it was down to 131 over 61. So walking does help me. I know that.
And that's what I was referring to, Mildred, when I said the top one is more, tension and tightness on the blood vessels. And walking and exercise relaxes the muscles that otherwise might be tightening up around your blood vessels. So that's very interesting information, because you do not want to take more of a blood pressure drug, which will drop your bottom pressure too low, which then leads to the dizziness.
Oh, yeah. That's what's happening right now, because sometimes it drops. It's gotten as low just by 118 over 54, and I feel rotten. I feel terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, and it may be a reflection of what the magnesium is doing. It's getting your body sorted out and relaxing it, but then now you're starting to have the blood pressure drug side effects. That's interesting. So everything you said to me, write it down, write the numbers. After the exercise, it's better, it's getting too low, and ask the doctor if maybe you can cut down on that Candestartin if you promise to do that exercise every day and keep taking your magnesium.
I think you're right. I think that I'm not as committed to getting that down as I am. I've always been a good water drinker. So I'll get my water down quicker than I do my magnesium. By the way, I am putting my salt in with my Remag and Remite. Is that right? Okay.
It's exactly right. Right.
Yeah. Well, I'm putting that in there, and I think I'm going to have to just make sure that I drink that first and then guzzle my water. Get out there and walk.
Yeah.
I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Oh, you were a great call. Very good questions. We all learned a lot from your call, and I appreciate you calling in and getting over your nervousness about being a star on my show.
Well, thank you so much, and you have a great day.
You too, Mildred. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, excellent. What a sweetheart, Carolyn.
I know. That's all we have here, sweethearts.
Yes, very sweethearts. Well, let's go to another sweetheart, area code 641. 641, you're on the line with Dr. Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
Hi, Dr. Dean. This is Anita from Iowa.
Hi, Anita. Yeah, hello.
I was just checking in. Last time we talked, you were asking me to increase the pico potassium, I think, to see if it would help anything with my heart arrhythmias. And if I went over the half a teaspoon, it seemed to aggravate more. So I cut back again and stayed with the half a teaspoon. And then I decided I was going to try calcium again. So right now what I've been doing pretty consistently is a half a teaspoon of pico potassium and a half a teaspoon of recalcia in my second quart of water each night. And it seems like that is a better, I get a little bit less maybe arrhythmias from that. It's not gone. It's not better. I still am on 4 teaspoons of Remag and 2 teaspoons of Remite. But I didn't know if you had any other ideas.
I think you're playing it just perfectly. Just ease up and then ease back if it doesn't work. Stay at this level for, maybe a week and then feel whether you'll increase your recalcia or your pico potassium. Read my pico potassium book and just see the importance of potassium and how you want to integrate it, because as you get your potassium up, you probably won't have to take as much Remag. I'm sure that's what, what I was probably doing in the past is just using my Remag for my potassium deficiencies. So intellectually, if you know the importance of all these minerals, which I know you do, then you'll just very gently work with them. I have no idea, different people's metabolisms, what's going on. And the only thing we can do is just kind of be our own gentle experiment to work these things out.
Oddly, I do still occasionally get like the leg cramps, but I had a really, 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 really bad one. But it was the day that I went to Colorado and went up in elevation. I don't know if that has something to do with it, but I was like at 8,600 feet and I live at about sea level, 1,000 feet. And normally, and I had a cramp that was really bad. I've had some of those at home too, not so much recently, but they're just sporadic, and I can't figure out why with everything I'm taking would I still get a leg cramp that can last for like 5 or 10 minutes. Yeah, it's just horrible.
Yes, I used to get them. Are you taking Realign, Anita?
Yes.
2 a day?
I usually just get 1 a day in.
Can you try for 2, because the B12, there's something about B12 and cramping, which I hadn't realized until just recently. So if you could try for 2 of those, maybe, you're fine tuning, and so step by step. So this week I'm telling you to take 2 Realign. Okay.
The other testimonial I have is I have been taking Flora Revive, And that is the first probiotic I've taken, I think, that really feels like my gut is in better shape than it's been. I just, stools and stuff have been more normal. I don't generally have a lot of them every day anymore, and that's been a real positive. I think it's got to be that. I do take 2 a day, 1 in the morning and 1 at bedtime.
Yeah. Well, that's wonderful, and it does have the antifungal, so it's probably dealing with your yeast overgrowth, right?
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I have yeast overgrowth or not. But yeah, I probably eat less sugar than most human beings on the earth. So
good, very good, very good.
So anyway, yeah, the thing that my heart's been doing probably the most this last spring and in the fall a little bit is just this. Feels like someone's accelerating it and then decelerating it. Like if I take a deep breath, it goes back into a slower rhythm, but then it'll just kind of start going faster again. And it's not like super fast AFib or anything. It's just like up to 120, and then it backs down to maybe 80, or goes up to 110 and then backs down to 75, 80. And it just will do that sometimes off and on throughout the day sporadically.
Right.
Which
it sounds like kind of the vagus nerve. It's an autonomic thing. I think it's the time it'll take for your body to get saturated with the right minerals. How long have you been on the minerals, Anita?
It'll be 3 years in November.
Wow.
It'll be 3 years in November, which it still feels like there's, and I've read quite a bit on the vagus nerve too, and I just, I wonder, I know it's something to do with the autonomic nervous system, which I haven't, still a mystery to me what's going on.
Yeah. Well, look at the yeast overgrowth book, or what do I call it? Reset the Yeast Connection. Just remind yourself about yeast and see if that makes any sense. Because there's got to be some underlying thing going on. And my 2 major themes about people's health is magnesium deficiency and yeast overgrowth. And of course, I expand the magnesium deficiency to mineral deficiencies, and the yeast overgrowth will lead to all kinds of, organism imbalance. But that's where I start. So just remind yourself about yeast overgrowth and see if there's anything new for you to learn in that book. Okay?
Okay. All right. Will do.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll hear you back in a month or so, right?
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, Anita. Thank you. Bye-bye, hon.
Aloha. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Very good. Aloha. I love it when they say that to you, Carolyn. Aloha is such a beautiful word, isn't it?
Oh, I know. I mean, sometimes I say to myself, I would have moved to Hawaii long ago if I knew I could be saying aloha. I started saying it and writing it in my emails like day one. It's just so perfect.
Yeah, it is very beautiful. And the language and the people of Hawaii are so gorgeous, and so is the music. And I agree. I just love to be there and be in that vibe and hear that beautiful language. It's wonderful. Yeah. Very nice. All right, so the language of Dr. Dean continues this evening as we're going to hear this AFib testimonial, Carolyn, and or teaching case. You're going to talk a little bit about that. I think that's going to be real helpful.
Okay, very good. So let me see if I have a name at the bottom. Dan. So Dan is saying, I've been wanting to write to tell you of my progress with the Remag and Remite, and also to thank you from the bottom of my heart for all the great advice and your research on magnesium and atrial fibrillation. I've read your books on AFib. Now that book is now called Heart Health. And he said, I've read your books on AFib and the Magnesium Miracle, which have given me much hope and have helped to greatly lower my AFib. A year ago, March 2019, I was diagnosed with AFib by my family doctor. I then went to a cardiologist who is a prominent electrophysiologist. I'm normally in very good health for 69 years of age. I take no medications. I eat a healthy, mostly organic diet. I go regularly to my MD and ND for checkups and supplementation for health prevention from disease. I'm also a certified personal trainer and work out regularly. So this AFib came out of the blue to my chagrin and surprise. Now, let me just interject here, sidebar. I mean, nothing does come out of the blue. We all know when we start learning about magnesium, and it's 1,000 enzyme processes that we're continually depleting magnesium and not replacing it. So, you know, for someone this healthy, it is a shock, but they too can begin to recognize where their magnesium became deficient. Dan continues, I know no one has a perfect body, and with age, need to realize things will come up with the body. Been studying health and nutrition since I was a teenager, et cetera, looks and feels younger than most folks his age. So, a new electrophysiologist started doing tests and had me wear a monitor for 2 weeks. The finding was I was running 30% of the time with AFib. So he met with me 2 months later to tell me that I needed to do the monitoring again to see if it was worse or better. By this time, I was in a lot of fear of having a stroke from this condition because I'd read much online about AFib and the ways it affects you and the ways it's treated with allopathic meds, operations, etc. This brought on my fears. I was prescribed some supplements from my naturopath, which helped somewhat. My heart was in good condition. I was in good health, etc., etc. The next monitoring test he had me do for another 2 weeks showed that I was only in AFib 3% of the time. Wow, what a difference. The doctor told me I was at very low risk of stroke and that he did not feel I should go on any meds at the time for AFib, which was great. Relief. I had started taking the Remag and added Remite when I was doing the second heart monitoring, as well as reading and listening to testimonials you wrote about and your online podcast. My cardiologist wants me to do another monitoring in 6 months. I will update if any new news. Otherwise, once again, I cannot thank you enough for the work as an MD&D that you've done to help us who suffer from this problem. P.S. I still have from time to time some small bouts of AFib, but only when I'm not eating right or to get something about much stress. Now I have great hope because I know what helps. Much gratitude. So I answered this and said, be sure to add potassium and use enough Remag and get the grassroots health test. I think that was conveyed by customer service. So, the Pico Potassium can be added to all our AFib customers. And Remag and Remite he is taking, and I don't know if he said how much, but that's what we hear over and over again. Unless somebody's heart has been damaged, and their AFib just happens because of the heart scarring from maybe a subclinical heart attack. You know, you can have a chest pain and a heart attack and not even know it, and it can affect your electrical conductivity. And even then, Remag is going to help because it'll help dissolve any calcification that's built up in that scar tissue. So not so much a teaching case, kind of a testimonial, but then again, a reminder for people who have AFib and they're on their Remag and Remite, but not on their Pico Potassium. So there we have it, Ginny. You might have 10 minutes to give us a little song and dance routine, whatever you'd like to do.
No, we won't be doing any songs for 10 minutes, that's for sure. But I did want to talk just for a minute about something that's so exciting coming up, and we haven't gotten to quite all the details about it, but everybody's really excited about your next free book, which is Total Body Reset for Women. And I was talking to Lisa today, who runs our customer service, and she said, I am all over this book. I am PCOS and gestational diabetes, when low iron, and, so many problems with your first pregnancy. And she said, I wish I would have known this about what I could have done to have my own body be healthier and to have my baby be healthier. I don't think Camden's unhealthy, but she just definitely said, it's just so important for women to understand what's available to them in our products and what the body really requires. So I'm so excited about this book, Carolyn.
Wow. Yes, I did write a book called Hormone Balance many years ago, and I just kind of took the sequence of a woman's life, from conception, right up to menopause, and how we are diagnosed as having diseases just because of what hormonal age or hormonal stage we are in, and it's so inappropriate. And yes, to be able to apply our supplements to each stage was a lot of fun to write the book and put it all together. I start out these books. I think I sent you the first maybe months ago, sent you some words, and you said, nah. I think it was, mainly I was looking at adrenal fatigue and thyroid and that sort of thing. And you said, well, what about our young women who want to get pregnant? What about the perimenopausal women? I said, oh yeah, okay, I can do better. So that became this, fairly extensive look at a woman from birth to menopause. So there.
Yeah, it's really exciting, and some of the great things that you cover in it are actually how to get pregnant if you're not able to be pregnant. A lot of women struggle with conception, and just that desire, being able to actually relax into that situation. A lot of women struggle with, the prenatal part of it. You're talking about that. You're talking about birth control, which is awesome. And your recommendation in all those regards, because the field of birth control has changed so much, and what they're doing now for women, and all these things options women have right now. It's very confusing. And then, of course, one of the other things, and I don't know if you talk about this extensively, because we kind of stay away from the C word, but, the outcome, a lot of women's health issues does end up in this idea around ovarian and breast cancer, and just those specific types of cancers that attack a woman's body, especially if their hormones have been out of balance and they haven't been properly mineralized, and also deficient in vitamin D.
Yes, we do stay away from the C word, and we mean to stay away from it because it's very difficult for an alternative type doctor to talk about cancer, because it is so tied up in allopathic medicine. They do come after doctors who say that they have any success with treating cancer, and I can't put everybody at risk by going out on a limb But we do know that in my practice in Toronto, I would love for someone to go back. What was it? I was there from 79 to 92 and canvass people. I don't remember my patients coming in and saying, oh, now I have cancer. Same with children who I didn't vaccinate. I don't remember them coming in and saying, oh, now my kid has autism. There were so many things that were avoided because people stayed healthy. And that's the way I'm looking at our customer population. If we stay healthy, then the body doesn't build up toxicity. And also we talk enough about total biology and the conflict basis of disease. Total biology started out as the German New Medicine. It's not even an offshoot. Apparently a doctor in France was developing a similar system called total biology as the Dr. Gerd Hammer was developing German New Medicine. And what they realized is when someone has a major conflict that settles in their brains as something that is irresolvable, then the body will set up some sort of mechanism to try to fix the problem. But what happens there in fixing the problem, it often involves stimulating growth of cells to do this or do that. And then allopathic medicine comes along and says, well, this is abnormal cell growth. It must be cancer. And then the treatment starts. So it is complex, the whole cancer situation. But we keep reminding people that it is an irresolvable conflict. And if you have an irresolvable conflict, then start talking to someone about it today, and just get it off your chest, get it off your brain, and that is part of what we want people to do, along with our dietary supplements. And the premier supplement with the conflict and being detached from conflict is our Rna Reset Drops. They provide the life force, the detachment, the perfection mirror that our bodies can achieve. So it's part of our whole protocol. It's part of who we are, is keeping people healthy enough that they don't get sick with anything. Right, Ginny?
Absolutely, 100%. Perfect words and a perfect wrap up to the show. So stay tuned for that book. Join us next week, and stay in touch with Dr. Carolyn Dean, because Dr. Dean knows what she's talking about, and she will lead you the place that you want to go, which is to ultimate health.
Yay!
Yay.
Thank you, Ginny. Thank you, who's ever doing the board today. Thank you, my Bob. And thank you, listeners and customers. We love you.